how fast you learn, how sharp you think, how clear your mind is. It's not fixed, it's not luck, it's not a gift, it's a skill, and today, right now, you have the power to ignite it. Imagine absorbing knowledge faster than ever, seeing solutions others miss, making decisions with clarity and confidence. Imagine your brain firing on all cylinders every day, every moment. This is not a dream, it's a choice. Your mind is waiting to be trained, to be unleashed, and if you step up, if you commit, you will become unstoppable. Your mind is not something you are born with fixed limits. It's not some mysterious thing that either works at full capacity or fails you completely. The truth is, your mind is like a muscle, a living, adaptable, powerful tool. And just like any muscle, it grows stronger the more you use it, the more you challenge it, and the more you push it beyond what feels comfortable. Most people go through life thinking their intelligence, their memory, their speed of thinking is static. They believe they either have it or they don't. But that is a myth. Every single thought you entertain, every piece of knowledge you consume, every mental challenge you face is either strengthening your mind or letting it atrophy. Imagine your brain as a gym. Every day you walk into that gym with a choice. Will you lift the light weights of comfort? Will you repeat the same exercises over and over without strain? Or will you challenge yourself with heavier loads, with exercises that stretch you, that demand focus, that push you to think differently? That choice determines the kind of mind you build. If you keep lifting the same small weights, your brain will never reach its full potential. But if you challenge it, it will adapt, it will grow, it will become sharper. And here's the powerful thing, growth doesn't happen by accident. Growth is not automatic. You have to intentionally put yourself in situations where your brain must stretch. When you push yourself to learn something new, to solve a problem you've never solved before, to think creatively, that's when your brain rewires itself. It builds new pathways, forms new connections, and strengthens the ones you already have. Every time you learn something new, your mind doesn't just store a fact, it creates a network of possibilities, new ways of seeing the world, new ways of thinking, new ways of solving problems. This is the secret. Mental strength and mental speed are not a gift. They are a result of consistent, deliberate, daily practice. Too many people wait for inspiration to strike. They wait for a moment when suddenly the brain works perfectly, when suddenly learning becomes effortless. That rarely happens. Effortless performance comes after effortful preparation. The person who seems naturally smart, who picks up skills fast, who thinks quickly under pressure, is simply the person who has trained their mind, who has exercised it consistently, who has created mental habits that keep the brain active, agile, and alert. It's not magic, it's muscle memory for the mind. One of the most overlooked truths about training your brain is that you don't have to do it for hours every day. In fact, short, intentional bursts of mental exercise can be far more effective than marathon sessions of passive learning. 5 minutes of focused problem, solving 10 minutes of deliberate reading, a challenge that forces you to reason or visualize differently. These small moments, stacked day after day, create exponential growth in your cognitive abilities. Your brain thrives on challenge, on novelty, on repeated practice. It's like planting seeds. Each effort, each bit of mental exercise is a seed. And over time, those seeds grow into a forest of sharpness, clarity, and intelligence that is yours to command. But here's the catch. Growth only happens when you are present, when you are aware. When you truly engage, your mind can go through the motions, but if you're distracted, if your attention is divided, the growth is minimal. Training your brain requires focus. It requires discipline. It requires a willingness to step into the discomfort of learning something new, of facing a challenge, of stretching beyond what you thought possible. It requires saying no to the distractions, the noise, the endless scroll, and saying yes to the things that matter, to the exercises that actually strengthen your mind. This is the mindset that transforms your life. Once you accept that your brain is a muscle, that intelligence is not a fixed trait, that speed of thought and depth of understanding are things you can build, everything changes. You start approaching problems differently. You start seeking challenges rather than avoiding them. You become relentless in your pursuit of mental growth because you understand that every small effort compounds, every new skill strengthens the network of your mind, every disciplined habit accelerates your ability to think sharper, learn quicker, and see solutions that others miss. You have more power over your mind than you realize. The question is not whether your brain can improve. It absolutely can. The question is whether you are willing to show up, to train it consistently, to challenge it daily, to stretch beyond your comfort. The strongest minds are not born, they are built. And every day you choose to push yourself, to learn to think, to grow, you are sculpting the mind you want to live with for the rest of your life. Your mind is a muscle. Train it, challenge it, stretch it, and watch yourself become unstoppable. Most people underestimate the power of focus. They think learning faster, thinking sharper, being smarter is all about talent or IQ. But the truth is, your mind can only perform at its best when it has space to think. And right now, most of us are living in constant distraction. Every ping, every notification, every news alert is slowly eating away at your ability to concentrate, to truly process information, to learn deeply. Distraction is the silent thief of brilliance. It's the reason you can spend hours trying to master something, yet feel like you've accomplished nothing. Your mind can only hold so much at once. And if it's scattered across 20 different things, it's not creating connections, it's not forming ideas, it's not building clarity. Focus is more than just paying attention. Focus is creating an environment, a mental and physical space where your brain can do what it's meant to think deeply, learn quickly, solve problems efficiently. And here's the thing, focus is not automatic. The world is designed to steal it from you, so you have to fight for it. You have to create rituals, habits, and boundaries that protect your attention like it's gold, because it is. When you remove distractions, when you create moments of uninterrupted mental clarity, something magical happens. Ideas flow faster, connections form quicker, memory strengthens. The speed at which your brain can learn multiplies. Think about your day. How much of it is filled with scattered attention, half-finished tasks, constant interruptions, multitasking that feels productive but actually dilutes every effort. When you multitask, your brain is not doing two things at once. It's switching rapidly, and switching costs energy. Every time you jump from one thing to another, your mind pays a price. You lose clarity, you lose depth, you lose speed. The key to learning faster is not doing more at once, it's doing fewer things with full intensity. Focused effort beats scattered effort every single time. And here's the fascinating part, the brain thrives on clarity. When you remove distractions, it doesn't just survive, it thrives. It starts connecting ideas faster, making decisions quicker, and retaining information longer. When your attention is clear, your brain is like a laser, cutting through confusion, cutting through noise, cutting straight to understanding. That is the power of focus. That is the superpower that most people overlook. But focus doesn't just happen by willing it. You have to train it. You have to practice it the same way you would practice a skill. Start small. 5 minutes of undistracted work. 10 minutes of full concentration on a single task. Gradually you stretch it, you expand it until your mind can enter what some people call flow. That state of heightened awareness, heightened energy, and total immersion. And when you enter that state, learning isn't just faster, it's easier. Thinking isn't just sharper, it's effortless. You are operating at the level you were designed to operate at because your mind is finally free from the clutter that slows it down. Now, removing distractions isn't just about phones and notifications. It's also about mental noise, the doubts, the worries, the endless chatter that fills your head. If your mind is constantly rehearsing the past or predicting the future, it has no space for learning. If you are letting fear, guilt, or anxiety dominate your thinking, it doesn't matter how fast you read or how smart you are, your brain can't focus. Focus comes from quieting the noise, from telling yourself, right now, this is what matters. Right now, this is where I put my energy. That single decision, repeated daily, compounds faster than any shortcut or hack. Focus also requires choices. It requires saying no to the things that drain your energy, the shallow pursuits, the endless distractions that promise excitement but deliver nothing. Every yes to a distraction is a no to your brain's potential. Every moment you allow scattered attention, you delay the speed at which you can learn, the clarity at which you can think, the power at which you can grow. You must guard your attention like a treasure because it literally determines the quality of your life. When you commit to focus, something incredible happens. You start learning faster, not just because you are spending time on a task, but because your brain is fully engaged. You start thinking sharper, not because you are trying harder, but because your mind is no longer fragmented. You start seeing solutions, patterns, and opportunities that others miss simply because you have created the space to see them. Focus is not a tool. It is the foundation for everything you want to achieve. Protect your attention. Eliminate distractions. Control what you allow into your mind. When you do, your brain doesn't just keep up with the world, it outruns it. Too many people believe that how fast they learn, how sharp they think, or how smart they are is something fixed. They believe it's determined by genes, by talent, by luck. But that's not the truth. The speed at which you learn, the clarity of your thinking, the power of your mind, all of it is tied to your identity, to the story you tell yourself about who you are. The moment you shift your identity, the moment you step into the person who learns fast, who thinks clearly, who masters new skills effortlessly, everything changes. Your brain starts to follow your beliefs. Your actions start to follow your beliefs. Your results start to follow your beliefs. Imagine for a moment two people facing the exact same challenge. One says, I'm not good at this. I'm slow. I'll never get it. The other says, I'm built to learn. I can master this. I am capable. Who do you think will actually solve the problem faster? Who will persist longer? Who will actually grow from the experience? It's not talent. It's identity, your beliefs about who you are, about what you are capable of. Shape every action you take, every choice you make, every neural pathway your brain strengthens. When you see yourself as a fast learner, your brain starts seeking shortcuts. It starts forming connections faster. It starts adapting in ways that reinforce that identity. Here's the powerful truth. The brain is incredibly malleable, but it responds to the signals you send it. And the most powerful signal is the one that comes from your sense of identity. When you say, I am someone who can master new skills quickly, you don't just motivate yourself, you rewire your brain to act in ways that make that statement true. You stop procrastinating, you start paying attention, you start pushing yourself beyond what felt comfortable before. Your mind literally becomes faster, sharper, more capable because your identity demands it. Most people try to learn faster or think sharper without addressing identity. They focus on hacks, on techniques, on shortcuts, and they get frustrated when results don't come. But the truth is, all the techniques in the world won't work if your brain doesn't believe it can. You have to become the person first. The habits, the skills, the speed, the clarity, all of that flows from identity. Identity shapes behavior. Behavior shapes results. Results reinforce identity. It's a cycle, and it starts with how you see yourself. And here's the exciting part. You have full control over your identity. You can decide right now in this moment who you want to be. You can say, I am someone who learns fast. I am someone who absorbs knowledge effortlessly. I am someone whose brain adapts quickly and thinks clearly. The moment you make that declaration and start living as that person, you change everything. Your brain starts looking for evidence to prove it true. Every challenge you face becomes an opportunity to strengthen that identity. Every new skill you attempt becomes a chance to reinforce it. When you shift your identity, it also changes the way you approach failure. The person who identifies as a slow learner sees failure as proof of inadequacy. Every struggle becomes a confirmation that they can't improve. But the person who identifies as someone who grows quickly sees failure as feedback, as information, as part of the process. They learn from it, they adapt, they persist. And because they persist, they win. Identity changes not just how fast you learn, but how resilient you become, how creative you become, and how unstoppable you are in the pursuit of knowledge and growth. Identity also shapes your energy. When you see yourself as capable, your mind operates differently. Your focus sharpens. Your memory strengthens, your problem solving improves, your brain literally becomes more efficient. But if you see yourself as someone limited, as someone slow, as someone incapable, your mind unconsciously holds you back. It creates friction, it wastes energy. It slows learning. Everything flows from identity. Everything begins there. The challenge, of course, is that identity isn't something you change overnight. It's a process. It requires repetition, reinforcement, and conscious attention. Every day, you remind yourself, I am the person who can learn faster. I am the person who thinks clearly. I am the person who grows with every challenge. You surround yourself with evidence, small wins, progress, mastery. That reinforces that identity. And over time, it becomes automatic. You stop having to convince yourself. It just becomes who you are. So ask yourself, who are you right now? Who have you been telling yourself you are? And more importantly, who do you choose to become? Because the moment you step fully into that identity, the brain doesn't just keep up with your ambitions, it accelerates. The brain doesn't just respond, it transforms. And the person you become, the thinker you become, the learner you become is unstoppable. Your identity is the foundation for everything. Shift it, claim it, live it, and the mind you want will follow. Most people underestimate the power of emotion when it comes to learning. They think learning is purely a mental exercise. That memorization, repetition, and logic alone are enough to make your mind sharper. But the truth is the mind and the heart are inseparable. Emotion is the accelerator of learning. It's the energy that drives memory, focus, and understanding. Every time you attach emotion to what you're learning, your brain lights up. It doesn't just store facts, it builds connections, it creates pathways, it strengthens retention, and it increases speed. Emotion turns ordinary information into unforgettable knowledge. Think about it. When was the last time you remembered a fact just because you read it in a textbook? Chances are it didn't stick. But when was the last time you remembered something because it made you feel something? Excitement, curiosity, urgency, even fear. That's how your brain works. Emotion is the lens through which your mind prioritizes information. It's the signal that tells your brain, this matters. Pay attention. Remember this. And the more intense the emotion, the faster the learning, the deeper the understanding. This is why so many people struggle to learn efficiently. They approach new information as a cold, mechanical process. They separate their minds from their emotions, thinking that logic alone will carry them to mastery. But a brain that is emotionally engaged is like a rocket. It accelerates faster, it navigates obstacles better, and it retains information longer. When you learn with passion, when you anchor curiosity, when you tie urgency or excitement to what you are absorbing, your mind doesn't just work harder, it works smarter. You can use emotion intentionally. You can attach it to your learning process to amplify results. Curiosity, for example, is one of the most powerful emotions for learning. When you approach a subject with genuine curiosity, your mind becomes alert, your focus sharpens, and your memory strengthens. You don't have to force yourself to learn. Your brain wants to learn because it's emotionally engaged. Passion works the same way. When you care deeply about the outcome of your learning, when it matters to you on a personal level, the brain becomes relentless in absorbing and processing the information. Even small sparks of interest can ignite huge bursts of understanding when emotion is involved. Urgency is another emotion you can leverage. Your brain is wired to prioritize survival, opportunity, and reward. When you attach a sense of urgency to learning something, when you commit to mastering it quickly, when you set a deadline, when you make it meaningful, your brain treats it like a high priority task. It focuses, it filters out distractions, it works faster, it processes more efficiently. Emotion activates the mental systems that control attention and memory. And that is why learners who are emotionally invested outperform those who rely on discipline alone. Fear can also be a teacher. When used wisely, it creates alertness and focus. Fear of failure, fear of missing out, fear of stagnation. These feelings, when channeled correctly, can drive learning faster than motivation alone. The key is not to let fear paralyze you, but to let it energize you, to let it sharpen your mind, to let it propel you forward. Your brain responds to the emotional state you are in. You can't separate feeling from thinking. You can only harness it. The most effective learners understand this and use emotion deliberately. They create stories, analogies, and experiences that make the learning meaningful. They tie what they are learning to something they care about. They feel it, they see it, they imagine themselves using it. And because they feel it, their brain encodes it deeply. It's no longer abstract information. It becomes part of them, part of their memory, part of their capability. You can start doing this immediately. Before you tackle any new skill, any new piece of knowledge, ask yourself, why does this matter? What will it feel like when I master it? What difference will it make in my life? Anchor your learning in that emotion. Let it drive you. Let it accelerate your mind. Don't just read or memorize. Feel, imagine, and experience what you are learning. When you do, your retention improves, your understanding deepens, and your ability to apply what you learn skyrockets. Every great thinker, every fast learner, every sharp mind has used emotion to fuel their growth. Emotion is the gasoline that accelerates the engine of the mind. Without it, learning is slow, shallow, and uninspiring. With it, learning becomes a powerful, unstoppable force. You don't just absorb information, you transform it into knowledge, wisdom, and skill. The question is simple: are you willing to feel what you learn? Are you willing to attach your passion, your curiosity, your urgency, your drive to the process of growth? Because when you do, the brain doesn't just keep up with your goals, it surpasses them. Emotion is the secret weapon. Harness it, and learning becomes effortless, natural, and limitless. When you use emotion intentionally, your mind doesn't just remember, it soars. Most people think learning quickly means sitting for hours, cramming information, or forcing themselves through long, exhausting study sessions. But the truth is, learning is not about quantity. It's about structure, consistency, and smart strategy. The most effective way to learn faster and think sharper is to break it down, to take big, overwhelming tasks and divide them into small, manageable pieces. Micro-learning is the key to mastering anything. It's the strategy that allows you to absorb information faster, retain it longer, and apply it immediately. When you approach learning in small chunks, your brain doesn't get overwhelmed, it doesn't shut down, it doesn't resist. Instead, it thrives. Think about how you eat. You don't try to swallow an entire steak in one bite. You cut it into small pieces, chew, digest, and gradually you finish the meal. Learning works the same way. When you take small, deliberate steps, when you focus on mastering one piece at a time, your brain can fully process it, connect it to what you already know, and retain it. Each small victory compounds, each micro success builds confidence and momentum. And that momentum over time leads to mastery that feels effortless. Consistency is where the real magic happens. 5 minutes of focused learning every day is better than 3 hours once a week. Small, consistent efforts allow your brain to reinforce neural pathways repeatedly. Each time you revisit a concept, each time you apply a skill, your mind strengthens the connections, making recall faster, understanding deeper, and thinking sharper. The brain thrives on repetition. Micro-learning harnesses this power, making growth inevitable. Small steps, repeated consistently, create massive results. Another critical factor is intentional focus during these micro-learning sessions. It's not enough to just skim through information or go through motions. Each small session must be deliberate, full of attention and energy. 5 minutes of fully engaged focus is more powerful than 50 minutes of passive distraction. The brain learns best when it's fully present, fully involved, and fully invested. Micro-learning allows you to deliver your full energy in short bursts, giving your mind exactly what it needs to absorb, retain, and connect information. This strategy also combats one of the biggest enemies of learning: overwhelm. When you face a massive goal like mastering a new language, developing a skill, or absorbing a complex subject, it's easy to freeze. Your brain resists, unsure of where to start. Breaking it down into small, actionable pieces removes that resistance. You take one step, then another. Each step builds confidence, each step builds momentum, and suddenly, the mountain that once seemed impossible is being climbed one step at a time. Small steps, smart focus, consistent effort. That is the pathway to extraordinary learning. The concept of micro-learning also taps into the brain's natural reward system. Every time you complete a small task, your brain releases dopamine. You feel satisfaction, motivation, and excitement to continue. This is why micro-learning is not only effective, it's addictive in the right way. You create a positive feedback loop. Small wins lead to more effort, which leads to more wins, which accelerates growth exponentially. Learning becomes not just a task, but a thrilling journey, because your brain is wired to reward progress, no matter how small. Another key is applying what you learn immediately. Micro-learning is most powerful when combined with micro-action. Don't just absorb information, put it to use in the real world. Solve a problem, try a technique, practice a skill. Every small application reinforces learning, strengthens neural pathways, and makes knowledge practical, not theoretical. The brain remembers what it experiences, what it uses, what it masters. Small, repeated actions accelerate learning far beyond passive consumption. Finally, micro-learning teaches patience and persistence. You learn that mastery is not a sudden leap, but a series of small, deliberate steps. You understand that consistent effort, repeated daily, compounds into unstoppable growth. Each small habit, each focused session, each deliberate application builds a foundation for long-term success. The brain becomes faster, sharper, more adaptable, because it is trained to process, connect, and apply information continuously without overwhelm, without resistance. Learning in micro steps doesn't just make your mind sharper, it makes it resilient. It trains your brain to approach challenges systematically, to handle complexity with confidence, and to adapt quickly when faced with new situations. When you combine small, consistent learning with emotional engagement, focused attention, and immediate application, your mind doesn't just improve, it evolves. You become someone who learns naturally, absorbs effortlessly, and thinks with clarity and precision. Break it down, repeat it daily, focus intensely, apply immediately, and watch your mind transform. We often forget that the brain doesn't exist in isolation. It doesn't function apart from the body. Your mind is housed in this incredible machine called your body, and the state of your body has a direct impact on the clarity of your thinking, the speed of your learning, and the sharpness of your mind. Most people try to sharpen their brain while ignoring their physiology. They think mental performance is all about books, notes, and mental exercises, but the truth is your energy, your focus, your memory, and your processing power all come from how you treat your body. Move your body, feed it well, breathe deeply, and your mind responds. Your posture alone changes the way your brain functions. Stand tall, sit upright, open your chest, lift your chin. Instantly, your mind becomes alert, confident, and capable. Slouching, collapsing, holding tension that compresses your energy and dulls your thinking. Simple, small adjustments in your physiology trigger massive shifts in your mental state. Your brain notices, your neurons fire differently, your clarity improves. The body and mind are not separate, they are a single system. Treat your body right and your mind becomes unstoppable. Breathing is another key. Most people breathe shallowly, barely enough to fuel their brain with oxygen, but deep, conscious breathing floods your brain with the oxygen it needs to operate at peak speed. It increases focus, strengthens memory, and accelerates problem solving. Even a few deep breaths before tackling a task can sharpen your thinking, calm your mind, and prepare you to absorb information faster. Oxygen is the fuel of mental performance, and breathing is the simplest way to supercharge your brain instantly. Movement matters too. Physical activity isn't just about muscles and weight, it's about the brain. When you move, you increase blood flow, which carries nutrients and oxygen to your neurons. Movement releases endorphins and neurotransmitters that elevate your mood, increase motivation, and enhance cognitive performance. Even short bursts of exercise, stretching. Walking can prime your brain to learn faster and think sharper. The connection between a high-energy body and a high-performance mind is undeniable. You cannot separate one from the other. Nutrition plays a role as well. The food you consume fuels your brain. Junk, sugar, and processed foods may give a quick spike, but they create crashes that slow thinking, cloud judgment, and weaken memory. On the other hand, nutrient-dense foods rich in protein, healthy fats, and essential vitamins strengthen your neural pathways, improve focus, and sustain mental energy for longer periods. Your brain literally runs on what you feed it, so feeding it well is training it to perform at its absolute best. Sleep is another crucial element. Too many people sacrifice sleep thinking they are gaining time to work or learn. But the truth is, sleep is when your brain consolidates memory, processes information, and clears out mental clutter. Skipping sleep doesn't just make you tired, it literally slows your brain's ability to learn and think clearly. Prioritizing restorative sleep is one of the fastest ways to improve mental performance. Your mind cannot reach its peak without rest, just as a car cannot run without fuel. But beyond these basics, there's something even more powerful: using your physiology intentionally to trigger mental states. Posture, movement, breathing, and energy are levers you can pull to influence your brain. You can use a surge of physical energy to ignite focus before a learning session. You can use deliberate breathing to calm your mind when it's overloaded. You can use movement to reset when frustration or mental fatigue strikes. Your body is the control panel for your brain, and mastering it gives you immediate access to sharper thinking, faster learning, and heightened clarity. The people who learn fastest and think sharpest are not just studying harder, they are integrating their body and brain into a single system of high performance. They understand that mental energy is physical energy that focuses a physiological state, and that clarity is cultivated through intentional body management. They move, they breathe, they nourish, they sleep. And in doing so, they unlock mental states that others spend years trying to achieve through sheer willpower alone. And here's the remarkable thing: you can start this immediately. You don't need complicated tools or expensive programs. Stand tall, take deep breaths, move your body, eat in a way that fuels your brain, sleep consistently. When you do these simple actions, your mind responds instantly. It becomes clearer, faster, more alert, more capable of learning, more adaptable to challenges. High energy equals high thinking. High vitality equals sharp cognition. You cannot separate the two. Your physiology is not just a support system for your mind, it is the accelerator. Treat it well, use it intentionally, and your brain will operate at a level you didn't think was possible. Your ability to learn faster, think sharper, and process more information is directly tied to how you move, breathe, fuel, and rest your body. Master the body, and the mind follows. When you align your physiology with your ambitions, your brain doesn't just perform, it thrives.